All right, so now on to step number 6. So this is when we are sewing the 2 halves of the bag together. So right sides together, we're going to pin it and stitch it. So I have my front part of my bag with the twice turned hem, and I have the back part of the bag with my flap. I'm going to put them right sides together so they kiss, right sides, and then I will pin the stitch lines all the way around the 3 sides. Okay, so one thing that's really important for this is to make sure that this top edge, which finishes with your twice turned hem for your front, matches and hits the point that your flap is stitched onto your back. Okay, so when I'm pinning this through, I'm going to imagine this line, because of course it's stuck inside there and I can't see it. I'm going to imagine that line going all the way up like that. And I'm going to pin the very edge of that and match it right there. Okay, so that will be the same nice spot. Oh, I'm over a little bit. Must have stretched. Okay, well anyway, that's where it needs to go, right there. And I'm going to pin it down. So it goes right there. And then the other point that's important to match is that corner before the round bottom. So I'm going to stab that through and get it to match my other corner here. And I will pin up. Okay. So, and then I'll put a few more pins in here. And then I'll put pins all the way along the bottom. So let's start. Got pin line to pin line there. And I'm going to pin up. Stab it through. If I need to move it a little bit, yep, there we go. Now pin up. And then I'm going to pin all the way around here too. Okay, maybe one more pin. Stab it through. Good. Okay. All right, so I cheated and pinned that part already. All right, so now that we're ready to stitch, I am going to backtrack. I can get rid of that one. I'm going to backtrack right there, right across my twice turned hem. And then I'm going to machine stitch all the way around. I will pivot here and then do the curve, go all the way around the curve. I will pivot at the other corner, continue all the way up, and then when I get to my twice turned hem, I will stitch right to the corner and backtrack there. So I backtrack on each of the beginning and the end. Backtrack there well and backtrack here well. Okay, so pull this machine towards me. I am going to start there. Press her foot down, needle down, backtrack first. And I should be like right at that edge of that flap. And I'll pull out my pin and start working around the bag. So pull it. Okay, top of the pin. I can pull him out. Top of the pin. And pull him out. I'm going to pivot. So let's get to the corner. I think I got it. Pivot. Yeah. Okay, I think you figured out how to do this, right? You'll work the corner there and pivot. Good. And right up the back here. This last side. And give it some gas. Oops, get out of there. All right, I'm heading right towards the top edge there. I'm going to backtrack. Backtrack. Okay. Needle up, press your foot up. Sometimes you catch the thread when there's like 3 of them here. You're just in the middle of a cycle. It's not a big deal. So if it doesn't want to pull, actually just let loose. You can rotate the flywheel, kind of wrap it back and forth like that, rock it, and it'll release. And then you can trim it. Got tails over here I need to trim. Okay. All right, so that's it. Now we're ready to grade and serge our seam allowances. Okay, now on step 7 here, we are going to be dealing with the seam allowances of your bag. This was the sides and the bottom. So we are going to press and serge each one of the edges, and then the bottom curved edge we're going to cut. And of course I didn't bring my scissors to cut this. All right, here they are. Okay, so I am using the sleeve board here, and I am going to slide one side of my bag up on that sleeve board so that I can press this open and flat. So I get up there as far as I can go. I will open this up, open my seam allowance up, kind of finger press it. Take my iron that's over here, and then I'll run that iron up that edge. Okay, so there that is. So it is nice and flat and warm. I'm going to do the other side. Pull it up. Get it flat on that board. There's the sleeve board. Okay. Open. And press. All right. There's that. So my next thing I'm going to do with the seam allowances is again what we did like with our very first machine stitch line. We take this over to the serger and we're going to serge each one of the seam allowances. So I'll do that seam allowance by itself, and then I'll flip it and do this seam allowance by itself, and the same on the opposing side. Do one seam allowance, flip it over, do one seam allowance. And I can show you that in a minute. But while I'm also here, let's grade the bottom edge. So what does it say over here? It says that we're gonna trim it. And it says we're going to cut it about it does say 3/8, I do believe. So that sounds good. So I'm going to trim this edge 3/8 of an inch. This one here. So I'm going to take my scissors and just do like a big quarter. And I'm going to trim off this extra seam allowance because I don't need it anymore. It's not helping me at all. It's just making it bulky. So get rid of that. So there we go. And I might as well, before I get too far along, just press this curve out too. So I'm going to pull this out and press this edge flat like we did on the curve, right? Same thing. So I'll work this around and press this curve so that it's all pretty on the bottom. Okay, it's getting there. It's starting to look like a bag. I don't want to forget to do my seam allowances on the serger. So that's next. I'm going to pull this back out and get that ready and then do my serging on both sides. All right.